mic is on. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our town hall on the desired outcomes for our school. Good to see so many of you here. There are a couple of sign-in sheets making the rounds. If you would please sign that and give me your email, in part because I want to get your feedback without having to call another meeting. So if I can get your feedback as people who are here, that will be very, very helpful. The plan is to then share that with a much wider audience and get feedback from them, which is going to be interesting. So, trying to get as much feedback as we possibly can on this. So, all right, real quick, we'll go to the agenda. Tonight we want to discuss desired outcome for the school in 3 areas: academic, extracurricular, and spiritual. I think that encompasses just about everything that the school is trying to do. If you're not of the same mind, we can talk about it. The idea behind this, the thought is that it is best to begin with the end in mind. We decide what we want to have happen for every family and student who is connected to Trinity Lutheran School and work towards those desired outcomes. So what does that mean? What does that look like? It really is whatever we want to make it. But it needs to be kind of specific and give us a goal that we can then work to. But desired outcomes are not the same thing as a goal. They put where we want to be, and then we set the goals to get there. Does that make sense? Organizationally, they are not the goals. Those change periodically. This is the product that we want. Please, come in. This is the product that we want to have, we want to accomplish as we are going through it. So it's a little aspirational rather than practical, okay? Of course, are we going to meet this for absolutely every family and every child? Probably not, because there's lots of factors that go into that. Do we want to meet it for the vast majority of them? Yes, okay? There have been 177 years of Trinity Lutheran School. That is a wonderful track record. Wonderful track record. Does it also denote that there have been lots of changes that have happened through the years in the school? Yeah, we're in the midst of one right now trying to update the facilities. The classrooms are not going to look the same as when your kids were in it or when you were in it. Okay? So things change. But there's a lot of continuity there and a really good track record that I don't want to downplay or dismiss. It really is a tremendous thing to have had over 175 years of the school here in Monroe. That is a pretty amazing thing. So we want to do more with what we've got. And that's the real idea here is I think we can do more, and we can do it better than we've been doing it. I am of the mind that there is always room for improvement. One of my high school coaches was big on the Kaizen thing. Anybody here know Kaizen? Be 1% better today than you were yesterday? At the end of a long season, you might be 25% better, but you're better. And that's the idea. There is room for growth in what has been a very successful and long-standing ministry. Now, also, part of my mandate that has been given me as I've come here as the new senior pastor is to focus our ministry. I think that makes the most sense in the school on focusing on what the future is going to be rather than just thinking about what the past has been. So, what I'm seeing tonight as an opportunity to do is to dream, but also prepare. Because things are not always going to be the same. They're not always going to be the way they have been. I'll just throw this out here right now. I have it on pretty good authority from folks that are watching this very closely in Lansing that funding models for schools are going to change in the near future. Anybody here heard about the accounts where you can donate up to $1,700 to a school? They're hoping to get that signed by the next governor. Governor Whitmer says, I'm not going to sign anything, but she doesn't, so that's all right. But they're hoping the next governor will sign that and people can donate up to $1,700 to a school, tax-free, with great tax benefits to them. Well, that is a step towards full-on vouchers, where money comes in at an incredible amount. And anybody here know how much money Michigan spends per pupil? We're kind of in the middle of the pack in the United States. We spend about 15 grand a pupil in the public schools. If that money then went to other schools through vouchers, it could mean 10 or 12 grand. That's double or triple what we charge here. So there's a lot of opportunity there that could be on the horizon much sooner than we think. My job is to make sure that we're ready for it and can be ready for it. But that is maybe a discussion for another time, a more full discussion another time. So, but that idea of that there could be major changes coming gives us an opportunity to dream a little bit. If money were no object, this is a wonderful discussion to have, right? If you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Yeah, we all can real easy click off those things. Well, what if money wasn't as large a consideration for us at our school? What could we do? For me, I can tick off about 6 things right away. Pay the teachers more, hire more teachers, expand to more classrooms. Well, wait, we might not be able to do that in our current building, right? There's lots of things that could happen because of that. So it gives us a little bit of a chance to dream, but also to hopefully prepare. Then my evaluation standard for everything that I do as a pastor is, if it does something good for other people, then do it. It's good. If you can do something good and make a friend, that is better. And if you can do something good, make a friend, and have a chance to make a disciple, that is a better, the best avenue. And so I think that is, the school fits that very, very well. I think we're doing a very, very good job, probably along the lines, though, of making lots of friends. That's better than just being a good school. Would I love to see even more opportunity for those relationships to be built and for discipleship to happen? Yes. So we want to use that a little bit. All right. Want to open the floor up just for a quick moment here. Do you understand what we're trying to do tonight? We're going to dream. We're going to brainstorm. Tracy's going to write it all down, so don't talk too fast. Okay? But we're going to dream, we're going to brainstorm, but we also, I don't want to just pie in the sky this. I want us to kind of keep our feet on the ground, but our head in the clouds. What could we do, and what do we hope happens because a family enrolls their child in our school? So we've got some parents here, we've got some church members, we've got staff members. All of this is good. So we've covered just about everybody. The opportunity has been there. So we want to just kind of, what is the goal? And what is the desired outcome? I should say that, desired outcome rather than the goal. The goals come off the desired outcome. What is the desired outcome that we're hoping to have for each of these children? I've got some ideas, but I want to frame this just a little bit to keep us at least all in the same headspace, okay? So I talked about the 3 areas that I want to look at, academic, extracurricular, and spiritual. I also want to talk about it in terms of the students, but also of the family. What can we do for the students, and what do we want to do for the family that sends their student here? So some of that's going to be a little bit different for some of you. If you're parents of the school, this is your chance to go, we'd love to have this for our family. For folks in the congregation, it hopefully makes us think a little bit more than just, oh, those cute kids that come sing for us. What about their parents and siblings and things like that as well? Of course, is most of this going to center around what we do for the students? Yeah. But does it have to just be for the students? No. in actuality, I think the family element here is maybe the best and biggest opportunity for us. So if nobody has questions or comments on what we're trying to do tonight, I've got Rich with a mic that can come around and share your thought, in part so that it's on the tape and other people can watch it, but also so that Tracy can hear it and write it down. Okay? All right. So, question, comment. Let Rich let you talk real quick. On the hop, Rich.
Thanks. I just have a question on what you said about the $1,700, that bill. Will that be for parochial schools too?
It is for all sorts of schools.
Okay.
It is for parochial schools, private schools, and public schools. It is a measure that is just trying to get more money from people into the schools. And I think it's a great opportunity for schools like ours that don't receive a ton of state and federal money. We do receive some because of various programs that, like our lunches is pretty much entirely paid for by the state, right, Tracy? Okay, she said parents pay for some of the lunches, but also we get a lot of money from the state for it. Go ahead, yeah. Tracy's the expert on these because she's been to the principal conferences.
Been to a lot of meetings. The $1,700 is essentially like a vouchers program where you could donate $1,700 per person, and it's tax-free, and it can designate to a school. You can't designate it to a specific child in the school, but you can designate it to a school. Then they look at the whole realm of the incomes, and it's 3% of the average for the county. And as long as somebody makes under that, it's divided equally between all the families that make under that. But it's a tax write-off for anyone that donated it, whether they have children in the school or not. It's kind of a cool program. They're hoping to have it go through by January of 2027, which is when Governor Whitmer leaves and whoever the new governor is. A lot of states are jumping on board. New York governor, believe it or not, just signed it. So it's not even just whether it's a Democratic or a Republican. People are looking at it as putting money back into the schools, and it's becoming a much more popular thing.
I'll also point out that the governor of New York realizes she doesn't have enough money because they spend about $30,000 to $40,000 a student. It's a lot more than us. So anywhere she can find money, she's willing to use it. So, all right. Anybody else? Question, comment on anything? Dave?
You spoke about dreaming of what we see in a school. I dream to see a school, especially this school, where kids don't get harassed and don't get bullied. And there's just been too much of it, and we need to figure out a way to minimize that.
Yeah, one area that I did look at it talking about tonight was behavioral, but I thought we might go down a rabbit hole. But thank you for sharing that. We want to make sure that our kids, have a very positive experience within their classes and within their classrooms, for sure. All right. Okay, so the first area we want to look at is academic. So I just have up there, we want, and I'll open the floor to you. What do you want in terms of academics from this school? Anybody here want bad academics? Everybody want failing? I figured this would kind of be the case. Let's just say, as a baseline, do we want all of our kids operating at grade level by the time they're done here? Yeah, now sometimes that's going to be at 5th grade because they're going on to middle school somewhere else. At 8th grade, we definitely want that as they're going into high school. I think that's a bare minimum, And at the very least, that we have done everything we can to help a child get to that. There are lots more variables there than just what the teacher does in the classroom and if the kid is paying attention. Yeah, there's family life, there's all sorts of things that go in there. But if we can do absolutely everything we can to make sure that they're at grade level, that's good. I think that's the bare minimum. If we were doing anything less than that, we should probably shut down. That's not the point at all. That said, though, anybody else? What do we want?
So where do we stand with kids with special needs?
Okay.
Where do we stand with kids with special needs? Do we have enough resources?
Kids with special needs. We do have a resource room teacher. She is from Lutheran Special Education Ministries. Can we service all the learning disabilities and behavioral problems and physical disabilities, the full spectrum that's out there? No. But is there opportunity to make use of her for lots and lots of families to help their child grow and get the extra help they need? Yes. The full extent of that is I don't have all that we can service through Lutheran Special Education Ministries, but Joanne Burke is a special education teacher. She's not just somebody sitting in there teaching tests. She is a special education teacher. And so there's a lot more, there's a number of things that she can do for us and for the families that have those needs. If we wanted to progress beyond that and try and do more for families with special needs, it would probably require a pretty major investment of time and people, resources into that. Could we become a school that handles all sorts of special ed possibilities? It would take a lot. It would take a lot for us to do much more than we're already doing. Do we want to have opportunities and resources available for families to try and do everything we can? Yes. But a lot of times special education requires an awful lot to be able to give the full services. Also, just from a legal perspective, to say that we're providing services but not then meet the standards that the public schools have really puts us in jeopardy, and that's not a good place to be.
So are we in a position to do more with this? I guess, should that be part of what the dream is to do more? Joanne's great.
I haven't looked at the demographics for the county or for Monroe, if there is a shortfall or a shortcoming in terms of those kinds of services being provided. I'm going to doubt very heavily that the public schools aren't doing their full obligation to those parents and to those families. Is there always people looking for better than what other people, than what's being provided to their children? Yes, always. Stepping into that arena, though, is probably right now something beyond where we can step in the next 3 to 5 years. If we wanted to, there would have to be a major allocation of funds into that for staff, but also for everything we would need to service students that needed more than what we're doing right now in terms of all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. It's not something, though, that I haven't seen a parochial school do. One of the schools I used to teach at went whole hog into meeting special needs students doing that, and had tons and tons of families that came to the school. I don't exactly know why, but they went away from it pretty quickly, and there was then a pretty big exodus from the school as well. So, over here.
Hi, so to piggyback off that, then what sort of things is she able to provide right now, and kind of where is that line of what's too much that we can't provide? Because I'm not very familiar with what
Yeah.
we're providing right now, so.
We are not, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, we are not right now capable to take on a student with an IEP.
We have 2 students that have IEPs right now.
Okay. All right. So we have a number of students that we have on our own kind of special education program. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
We have 22 kids that use the LSCM room. We have 22 kids that use the LSCM room. 2 of them have IEPs and 20 of them have service plans.
Service plans are more of our version of the IEP. Most of that is accommodations for what kinds of special needs, Tracy?
It can be learning problems. We have a couple kids with dyslexia. It can be attention deficit. It can be learning skills on just how they take tests, and it can be tested. It can include test accommodations, like if they need a test accommodations with their NWEA testing. There are kids who go down there just to take their test. They work on different skills throughout what they're doing.
So there's absolutely no way we could take on a kid with cerebral palsy or pretty major physical limitations. Not at this point. Getting them to the second floor, we do have an elevator, but right, I mean, it is accessible, but we don't have a lot of the capability to do that. Learning disabilities, some behavioral disabilities, things like that are there. Without Tracy researching it a little bit more, I don't know that I can give you a more full answer than that.
Grayson?
Yeah.
We have more kids that have IEPs along the lines of like speech.
Okay.
Kids that take speech. Those aren't including in the learning academic IEPs that I was talking about of the other 2. Those are done through speech therapy. They're not done through Joanne, and the public school comes in and takes care of that.
But we do have a speech therapist that does come for that. Yes. That whole realm of special education, I've got some friends that are teachers in it, and it is turn down one corridor and there's 13 more that you can pick from and go into, and it's amazing the amount of possibilities and opportunities and services that are provided. It generally comes down to, at least for us, if we think we can meet it, we'll do our very best to do it. If we feel we can't, we tell them, the family, I'm sorry, we just couldn't do that. So, all right. Okay, so we've had some pretty specific questions about certain things here. But thinking a little bit more broadly, what do we want our kids to be able to do when they're done at Trinity? Dennis has got an idea, I hope.
No, I don't have an idea. I was going to just ask a question.
Go ahead, ask a question.
You ask about academic. Where does Trinity fit in the percentile of the schools in the area?
I don't have specific.
Where our academic needs lie?
I don't have specific numbers on that. We do have NWEA testing that happens. What is that? Fall and spring, Tracy?
We take NWA testing 3 times a year and look at, it tells us where in the norm we fall among the nation wise. And academically, we do well. Are we above in some areas? Yes, in some areas we're a little below. I will say this, if you go to Catholic Central and ask them about the students that come from Trinity, they will tell you the kids at Trinity know their Bible better than any kids that attend Catholic Central. I think that says a lot. I also look at the top, what do they do at Monroe? The senior scholars, and look at how many kids from Trinity are in our senior scholars, and we are well represented.
Yeah, it kind of depends on where they end up going to school. Most of them are going to Monroe this year. Last year, most of them went to SMCC. We always have a couple that end up at Jefferson or Airport and different things like that. That is something that we had mentioned. I met with the teachers talking about this last week, and they said, we need to pay more attention to that. And I said, you bet. Yeah, we need to make sure that we are doing that. The high school that I taught, we always, when the ACT and SAT scores came out, it went on to the blinking sign out front. This is the average for our school, which is kind of cool. And we were always around 1,100 or 1,200. So if you know something about the SAT, that's pretty good. That's the average for the kids that was at that school. So there was a reason they put it out there, because then parents could go, ooh, hey, that really is something. But I was also in a town with 4 independent Christian school systems because the public schools were under federal control because of stuff. Anyway, so, all right. So thinking a little bit more broadly about what we want to academically, well, let's go to the next slide. This is a thought that I had in terms of if the baseline, if the bottom is we want our kids to be at grade level, then my thought is by the time they graduate here as 8th graders, I hope that they're a grade level above in all of our 5 core classes. So one of those is theology, but the other 4 are English language arts, science, social studies, and math. If they're at a 9th grade level, I think we've done our job. And I think that's pretty good. The one that I do want to highlight, though, is I'd love for us to be 2 grade levels above in reading. And here's why. From about 3rd grade on, you read to learn. So if you're not at grade level, you really struggle. If you're above grade level, things come a lot easier. And so setting kids up for that with as strong a reading program as we can possibly have so that they enter high school and the textbooks are easy to understand and make sense of, and they can read a book and do a book report, that's pretty important. I also would love to see them in the honors English classes rather than the regular. My son, we weren't paying attention when my eldest went to high school. He came home one day and said, Dad, my English teacher read us Of Mice and Men today. And I said, what? What are you talking about? Like, what? He read to you in class. Yeah, it was like I was in 4th grade with Mrs. Childers again. He read us the chapter in Of Mice and Men, and I was like, what's your counselor's name? And how do I get you out of there? He said, Dad, it's spring of my freshman year. It's okay. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I don't want any of our kids to be in that class if they've gone here to Trinity. My kid should not have been in that class. Luckily, he found architecture at the school he was at, and now he's in college getting a degree in architecture. He still has to read, but man, I dropped the ball on that one. Then, what was it? 2 kids later, my son, who's now a junior, we went to his freshman orientation, and they said, well, hey, if you want your kids to go to college, they really need to be in all the honors classes. And I'm going, then what are the regular classes for? Oh, boy. And it said a lot about the school system that I live in. I won't tell you which school system. So I don't want that to be the case for the kids that go here to Trinity, that they are held back because they can't read at a level that allows them to succeed. So that's my idea. What do you think of that? Yes?
We teach reading by phonics still?
I believe we she asked, do we teach reading by phonics still? I believe we have a pretty multifaceted curriculum for it. Phonics is part of it. I don't think we're full-on whole word instruction or things like that, but those are the only 2 I know, so I'll let Tracy answer.
There's a big combination between phonics and the science of reading.
Phonics and the science of reading. I don't know exactly what the science of reading is, but that's okay. What is the science of reading?
It's a kind of like reading. Sorry. If you think back over the years, and they had the whole language approach. That was what Trinity was teaching when I started, so that really dates me. But that was, you got these core words and you didn't have to sound things out, you just memorized what the words were and you learned to read. That's not the way it is. Science reading is a combination of phonics and the different, my best way to describe it is the old school skills that our parents learn by in the schools. It's coming back. Education tends to make its rounds on what works and what doesn't work, and it's moving back to the old school way of teaching all the English aspects of it and with the phonics aspects, plus putting in a little bit of guided reading and making it all work like that. We're trying to focus too on getting books into the hands of kids, not just reading online. My teachers all got to hear my little spiel. I'm reading a book called The Digital Delusion, about what reading online does to kids compared to actually sitting and reading in a book, and the difference it can make educational-wise. It also talks about handwriting and the purpose of focusing on handwriting in the schools, slowing down, making kids think, and how kids learn to read is how they tend to think and learn. So that's what we're working on.
I will also point out, I help teach the 8th graders theology, and I am always impressed at the way in which they read as I have them, because I don't read the Bible for them. I make them read whatever passage we're looking at, and they never struggle to do it, and that's really, really good. And I think that encouraging that is where Tracy wants to go as leadership here at the school, but I agree wholeheartedly, because reading, again, you read to learn, and there's no substitute for actually putting the time in to read something and do that. I still do it. I break out my commentaries on whatever the verse is I'm preaching on, to read and learn what somebody who's a lot smarter than me knows about it. So if I'm still doing it, I think the kids need to learn how to do that too. So, all right. Okay, so that is a very broad statement in terms of what we want the desired outcome to be. What I love to be able to report, because you need to be able to measure these things, what I love to be able to report that 60% of our 8th graders met that this year. I don't have the numbers for it. But in 3 years, after we kind of get this in place and we're doing some things, is it important to come back and say, yeah, over half of our 8th graders are reading at a 10th grade level when they're done? That would be fantastic. And if we're not there yet, what do we need to do to be able to up that and do that? Now, that leads into then the next one that I have here, kind of a thought for the families. We want all the families to have the resources they need to help their student get ahead of grade level in their learning. That's a little bit more broad. That's kind of more of what these are, desired outcomes. But are there lots of things that we can do to help these parents understand where their kid is, but also if they're behind a little or struggling a little, what opportunities can we have to help them catch up or get through the tough spot that they're going through? Do we just want to put that on the classroom teacher? I don't think so. I think reading buddies with kids that need to read more, congregational members, parents, those sorts of things, I think can be very, very powerful and helpful. But it also allows for those kids to get the extra time they need and the extra reps. I'm an athletic coach. The extra reps on reading and those sorts of things. I'm also a pastor who's run a summer reading program for several years. Those extra reps matter. Those extra books that get read because you're a part of a program during the summer definitely help to make sure that kids get better. We saw in our summer reading program at my previous congregation that several of the kids we had, because we added phonics and a few more tools to their toolbox in reading, we had a wonderful reading teacher she was a master of just about every reading program you've learned, could pull out the tools for the kids and tell them, use this. And we had a couple of kids that were reading a grade or two below when we got them, and after 3 years in the program were 3 grades above. That's just tools and toolbox. We didn't do anything special. But if concerted effort we definitely can make sure that we're helping out and all of that. So we want to make sure to do that. Now, I want to be quick to say, I don't want to make that more work for the teachers. So how do we do that? Parent readers, congregational readers, different opportunities that we can have, maybe even some people that will learn to do some of the reading instruction to really help the kids that are the farthest behind, kind of personal tutoring. Those sorts of things matter as well. And finding those folks, I think, is an important part of this. So, all right. So, with those two in mind as examples, anybody here, we'll go to the next slide, have something that they'd like to throw out as a desired goal? There's got to be more than two. We're just spitballing here. There's no wrong answer to this. If you've got a halfway formed idea, I'd love to have it. I've been thinking about this for 9 months, so. All right, we'll start with those two. Dennis.
I was just going to say, you had that out there, you want them to be a grade level or above. Okay, so should there be something in there that says, 60% or 75% of the class, a marker that would say, this is where we're at?
That then comes down to the assessments that we put on these. These desired goals are a little bit more, a little less of desired outcomes. I keep saying it wrong. I'm messing you up. These are not goals. They are the desired outcomes. We then set goals to meet that, and they need to be, of course, smart, specific, measurable, actionable, relational, and time sensitive. So this is the first one there. We want them to be 2 grade levels ahead in reading. That's kind of a pretty good goal, but it's more of a desired outcome because we don't then have how do we measure it and things like that are in there. That then needs to come. Yes. No, that's the reason why we're having this, is to talk through it, but also try and brainstorm a few things. Can I be crass? We want to make sure people are getting their money's worth. Right? We want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth. Some of that requires that we be able to say, if you send your kid here, this should be the experience you have, rather than, well, we're going to do our best. I really want to make sure that all of our families understand where we're trying to take their children. At the same point, what we're trying to do to help them. We talk about being in partnership with our families and trying to help them to educate their children. But I think there's also opportunities there where we can help in a number of ways. For the kid that's having behavioral issues, I'd love to have some programming that the parents understand where we're coming from on what we're expecting. We've got a teacher here that loves to remind us that the worst problems we have are the stuff they ignore at the public schools. But I think high expectations matter. I think setting clear expectations for kids, what we expect you to do and what you're going to do about it. If home and school are not on the same page, how do we get there? That is important as well, that kind of stuff. So, anybody, an idea?
Well, I would go along with that reading, but we need to have their written skills up to grade level.
Reading and writing?
Including cursive. They took cursive out of school in Arkansas, and our grandchildren can't read a birthday card from Linda.
Stop writing it in cursive. I can serve that one.
As a surveyor, I write in block letters because that's how we draft.
Yeah.
But we've got to read cursive that's almost 200 years old from the old deeds.
Yeah.
We still need that skill.
Cursive as a thing is kind of riding a high right now. Tons and tons of schools are going back to cursive because what they're finding is that cursive engages your brain in a way in which nothing else does, and it allows you to make connections between things much quicker than you would any other way, because you're seeing those connections already in the words that you're reading and writing. And then it's amazing the brain science that they're coming out with on cursive right now. I read heavily, so. Yes, most of our teachers still have cursive as part of the way in which they do it.
We never stop teaching cursive. They start writing cursive in 2nd grade.
Now it's Danielian cursive, but that's okay. I'm just kidding.
Danielian is just modern manuscript that helps them learn to write
Exactly.
cursive easier.
Exactly. I was giving Tracy a hard time there, because somebody else did last week or something like that. All right. Yes, writing matters. We are talking about doing less on screens in our school. That is a topic of conversation right now. We don't have anything real definite on that. Definite plans right now on that, but we are talking about doing less on screens. So what will that require? More writing. You don't just get to type. As a person who voice types just about everything because I've got hand issues, I'm like, oh, you're killing me. But I'm not the example that should be followed in that one. So, all right. Okay, let's move on to another one. Extracurricular. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. One last thought on academic.
I just wanted to make a comment, and I don't think you can really quantify this, but just not to get lost in the shuffle, a couple of things that were very important, and we're quite a few years removed from the school with our children, but things that were very important that they learned here were critical thinking and problem solving, and also organization, and I hate to say homework, but the planning and the study skills. We heard over and over and over in high school how well prepared they were, took them through college and throughout their life. So I think that's important just to keep that up here.
All right, Tracy's got all that. Critical thinking, problem solving, organizational, and how to actually learn on your own. I think that's really what you're talking about is, if you're going to read to learn, you need to be able to make sense of what you're reading. And it's not just comprehension, it's how then do I apply it? Yeah, I think that those are important skills as well for academics. That is one I had not thought of, but one that I can immediately go, my kids learned that in middle school and they're still writing it in college. So yeah, no, very, very good. Thank you. Okay, yes?
Also, the idea to a student of what I'm learning today and how is that going to apply after I get out of college, perhaps, because I remember some of the science you're learning or some of the literary materials, and you're like, oh, brother, when am I ever going to use this? I can't tell you how often now, in my aged years, I could say to my grandchildren different things I've learned that, see, that's where that comes into play.
Yeah.
Not that you're going to have to know, E equals MC squared all your life, but the overall idea of literature and science and creativities and stuff like that affects you all your life.
Yeah. I think one of the main goals that we do want to have in academics is we want the kids to learn to be learners, but also love to be learners. And that's a very hard thing in our world to do because I can Google it. And that we've got a wealth of knowledge at our fingertips. That doesn't mean that we can apply it or use it wisely all the time. So some of those things. My kids complained for years that they could never cite Wikipedia in anything that they did in school. And I was like, wonderful. Because that encyclopedia is terrible. Do you have a world book? And they looked at me like, what's a world book? Oh, okay. No, don't Google it. Find a source that actually helps you. Yeah. So yes, some of that stuff we definitely need to have in there academic-wise is love of learning, learning to learn, but then also watch out for your sources. What's a trusted source? So, Encyclopedia Britannica is online for free too, by the way. Anyway, okay. I kept sending my kids there. And they go, it's so small, Dad. The type is like this big. It's on a computer. You can make it bigger. All right, we'll go to extracurriculars now. Extracurricular, by extracurricular, I am meaning here anything that is outside the classroom. So athletics, arts, music, and service projects. I want to throw that out there because I've been very impressed at some of the field trips that our kids have done this year doing a service project. They took time out of class to go do a service project. I love that idea. I think that in extracurriculars are one of the key areas that any school has to help kids find something that they love and get into it. I love the idea that if we can get a music teacher, the entire 5th grade is going to be in band next year because we've got money to buy instruments. I think that music education is an incredibly important part of learning because it teaches you to work with other people, but it also makes you practice. And you've got to put in the time to improve. And the hard work that can come out of that really, really does help you. So, what are you hoping for in terms of extracurriculars? Yes?
If you have money for band instruments, can we get the bells fixed and start up bell choir again?
We'll try.
Okay, please. I have several adults who are just waiting, itching to come back and play.
Okay. See, my
We
kids...
just need a director.
My kids had to learn bells at the school they went to because one of the teachers was handbell crazy. And so everybody had to learn how to do it. It was wonderful. They hated playing them. But did they know how to read music and work together to make a sound? And when they realized that if they screwed up, everybody's going to look at them, it was a little bit of good peer pressure there to buckle down and do what needs to be done. So, extracurriculars. Let me ask this question. Is it important to win? Can I say what you just said? Yeah. I have coached for 20 plus years. I actually believe that sports is more important in helping you learn how to lose. That's what she said. You need to learn how to lose. You need to learn how to handle adversity and failure. And I think that sports offers an incredible opportunity to do that. Now, as a coach, I would always tell my kids, I don't care if we win. Did I coach to win? Yes. But did I also coach so that everybody got an opportunity to play and people developed, and was the goal greater than did we win this game? Yeah. I'm happy to say I've got several kids that I have coached that have played high school sports, both basketball and soccer and baseball. And I think I'm a small part of that. But I also ran into, in all my years of coaching, this is why I don't coach anymore, the people that were nuts. I can remember my T-ball, first practice, it's April, it's cold, we're all wearing mittens, not gloves, right? And we show up to the field, we're going to practice, and the guy is doing a practice there. He says, oh, okay, we'll get off for you. And he comes over, hey, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. I'm coaching this team. I think we can win the championship this year. I got 6 kids that have never thrown the ball before. I don't care if we win the championship this year. I just want them to make it through without breaking their nose or getting hit in the head by a bat. Right? Come on now. It's T-ball. Now, that is not everybody's attitude, but I ask that question because it does then set a little bit of a tone for how we approach, especially athletics in extracurriculars. I'm more of the mind that you need to learn how to lose. And losing a 4th grade girls basketball game is not the end of the world. Do I want them to just dismiss it? No, but would I love for them to go, the other team was better than us, or we made so many mistakes, we lost the game. Can they critically look at what happened and not just go, they were terrible and that girl was mean, or the referees weren't, the ref blew his whistle because it went out of bounds, that's it, right? Do I want them to be able to critically think and be able to go, we needed to do more to win, and those sorts of things? Yes. Yes. Do you play to win? Yeah. But is winning the end-all, be-all? I would say no, but that's my perspective on this. What's yours? Dave?
The question is, how do you get to learn from losing, because I see a lot of it. I coached a long time, and I see these kids not learning from their losing.
Yeah.
They just blow it off over their head, and they're like, well,
Yeah.
how do we get them to learn from losing?
Yeah, I think some of it depends on if the kid cares or if they're just playing because their friends are. Do you ever have kids like that? They're just out to play because their friends are? Yeah, they're not going to learn a whole lot from losing.
There's something in the overall teaching of our children that we can help
Yeah,
them to learn from.
yeah,
Losing is a learning process.
yeah. Well, that's why I asked you and Jim Bunkelman to help me out with Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah.
Because that program, they've got an incredible program. I've got a good friend that is the regional coordinator for Fellowship of Christian Athletes down here. Well, he's a good friend of my wife, and I know him too. And he called me up as soon as I got here, and he came over and said, here's all the stuff we can offer. And I went, oh, I wish I'd known about you. All the things you can do. It's not just get the kids together for Bible study and the athletes together for Bible study, but it's also help the coaches with good coaching technique that does emphasize character development more than it does other things. So I'm looking to outsource that just a little and bring in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We are looking to start a huddle here at Trinity next year. And I asked Dave, because I knew he'd coached a ton here, and Jim Bunkelman to be a part of that. Dave, my wife is calling you this summer. Good. Glad to hear it. I think he's got a great point, though, right? You've got to have a program to help make that happen. You can't just say, this is what we want to do. I think the Fellowship of Christian Athletes program for the coaches will be the thing that helps us the most. And so I'm looking forward to try and bring that in. Because there's not a lot of folks that are natural coaches, but we always need coaches. A little bit of training helps. Steve.
I ump Grow Fest pitch, and I haven't seen a team learning how to lose.
Yeah.
The girls cry. I was a witness, St. Mary Catholic Central in the airport, one parent punched the other parent. And I'm talking about females now, not men.
Yeah.
A mother went into the other side and punched her, the other.
Yeah.
I see the girls crying because they lost. And usually when you lose, somebody gets to blame.
Yeah.
Or either the coaches or somebody made an error, and that person the girl that made the errors gets to blame from the other girls and so forth. So losing, in my opinion, it hasn't been applied. And here, the teams that I know, which that includes Airport, St. Mary Catholic Central, Jefferson, and so forth and so on. And they don't know how to lose.
Yeah.
They don't know how to lose. I mean, they don't have the encouragement, you lost, but it's okay, maybe next year.
Yeah. Our sports crazed society only cares about winning. Exactly. So that you can then burn cars and dumpsters and couches like the Knicks.
Even the parents.
31 people arrested, 4 people stabbed, one person shot the night that in New York. Now that's in a city of 27 million people, but still, right? Like, geez Louise. Michigan State, that's how they get rid of old couches. Wait for a championship and then burn them. This is part of why I think it's important that we really do seek to try and teach this. Because our world is not. I don't want to try and be necessarily countercultural or anything, but in a world that's not teaching this in any way, shape, or form, is there a real benefit to us doing everything we can to help our kids learn how to deal with adversity and how to deal with failure? I really don't care. I'm a huge Cub fan. I don't care if they win or lose, but I am mad when they don't do it right. Right? It's just me. But some of that is the other team was better tonight. Sometimes you got to chalk it up to that. But there's always another opportunity. For kids, how are they going to handle failure in a job, in relationships? This is an opportunity to teach how to do that. So I really think it's important. So, yes, over here.
Any thought on
getting out of the CYO and going back to the way it used to be, Lutheran schools versus Lutheran schools?
We're not getting out of CYO. It is I will, full disclosure here, I come to you as your pastor from the Lutheran Schools League that you used to be a part of, and it is a dumpster fire. It is terrible. Because what we're talking about, learning from losing, good sportsmanship, all of that is no longer there. And so it would be a real problem to go back to that. Plus, it would also increase our travel time tremendously. And most of the schools that are in the... yeah, but not as a parent. And that's where I am right now. Travel time, but also just any number of things. The CYO League is a better league. I will say this, Christ the King Southgate, the school my kids went to, is joining CYO, our CYO. So now I understand the CYO is being reorganized just a little bit because the Monroe CYO is no longer going to be under the Monroe Diocese, but under the Detroit Diocese. I don't think that's going to be a huge deal because they're going to run them separately, but you can go over to the Detroit one if you want. I don't think that's a great idea. They're generally taller, stronger, faster, bigger. Let's stay in ours. But Christ the King is getting out of the Lutheran League and getting into the CYO because of what I'm talking about. Lots of them are gone. Lots of them are gone. If any of you remember going up to Trinity Wyandotte or to Mount Hope Allen Park or Calvary Lincoln Park, those schools are all gone and have been for over 15 years. So, all right. Okay. So, my ideas for extracurricular here. As somewhat of what we've talked about, I want every student to learn teamwork and collaboration. This is the thing that annoys me the most. Dave and Steve kind of talked about this. How many times have you guys seen, well, I did my job tonight, the rest of you suck? Yeah. Oh, gosh, no. Yeah. Yes. So collaboration, that it really does take teamwork to make it go. But also how to deal with adversity and failure, but also personal responsibility. I'll share this story. I was coaching, and this boy was walking down the hallway, leaving the gym, and his grandfather of 75, 80 years old was walking behind him, carrying all of the boy's stuff. He had a backpack, a basketball bag, a tuba, a lunchbox, and a big water bottle the grandpa was carrying. And the kid was just sauntering down the hallway. And I stopped him and I said, "Hey, is that all your stuff?" "Yeah." "Go carry it." He looked at me like I had 4 heads and 37 eyes. His grandpa comes up to me, "Thank you so much." No, just set the stuff down and leave it there. The kid will get it if he needs it. Some personal responsibility, I think, is also part of this. Some of it is, somebody mentioned it, time management. Hey, you've got practice and a game. You've got practice 3 nights a week plus 2 games. When are you getting your homework done? Because the teachers give time in class, but if you sit there and do nothing, are you now up late doing your homework and causing problems and getting behind and all sorts of things? Yeah, some of that is also needs to be shown and shared. So. But that also goes not just for athletics. When are you going to practice that trumpet that you never bring home? Well, I keep forgetting it. Don't forget it. And no, I'm not calling your teacher to make sure that you bring it home. You need to bring it home. Those sorts of things, I think, are an important part of the way in which we go about this. Now, for servant events, I also... one of the things that our accreditation team said is, we love that you're doing servant events, do more of them. And I think that's a beautiful and wonderful idea, because here at Trinity we want to overflow, and what's a way that you overflow God's love into somebody else's life? Service. So we want to do that. All right, so for the students we want this. For the family, I kind of put, we want to give the families the resources to be able to raise personally responsible children who do value collaboration and who can handle obstacles in life and in work that they come up against. The last thing I want to do is talk about eligibility with parents. I'd much rather parents talk about eligibility with their kids because they're on the same page as us on that you're a student, not just an athlete. That kind of stuff matters. Unfortunately, I spent way too much time talking about eligibility this year. So, all right, any ideas you have in terms of extracurriculars? Yes? Thank you, Rich. Everybody give it up for Rich. He's getting his steps in.
Getting his exercise tonight. I know I'm involved in a couple events, and some students need service hours. I don't know how many service hours they have to put in. But I guess I'm not in a position where I know somebody else usually contacts the school, but I know with Faith, Family, and Fun, we've had students that have helped for service hours, and they sign up through Sign Up Genius. I think the adults here need to use Sign Up Genius for that too.
Yeah.
And maybe the same one, so we can see what students are signed up. And in addition to that, talking about families, I think if a student signs up, the parent should be there as well. Maybe that's not always.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not always a possibility.
Yeah.
But
I'm still new here. I know parents have service hours, part of our agreement here at Trinity. How many of the kids also have service hours for things? Use the mic.
Just through confirmation.
Oh, confirmation. Okay. So we really don't have school service hours for the kids. It's for the families because we do want them to be involved in the things that are happening, but also within the school and within the congregation. We are going to be looking at that whole program. How can we do it better and make better use of it? But also try and have that opportunity where there's also church people that are volunteering and doing some service hour type of stuff with those things. I was going to, Shannon, you mind if I pick on you for just a second? That servant event that you did to the park. It was a great. I love the servant event. I love it. My only critique would be let's put it out for the church as well. I probably could have gotten you 10 or 12 more people.
Well, to be honest, Trinity Lutheran signed up to be part of the stewardship of Monroe with the city parks.
Okay.
So I already signed us up.
All right. So the next time you have something, let me know in advance, and we'll get more people. That opportunity, I think, is really good to be in our community, but also then for school families and kids and congregation members to all kind of work together for it. I think is a crucial and important part of making service a part of the way in which we operate. So, yeah. Yeah. She said when the kids see the parents doing service, they are more likely to serve and be willing to do it. I think so too. I think that's a good thing. And I don't think anybody can really go, oh, this wasn't worth it. Most of the time, if we've thought through the servant event, I think it will always have a benefit and we can always see the benefit. We need to make sure that we're doing that. Okay. Anything else extracurricular-wise from anybody?
Well, talking about that service is serving at other areas in the church that you might not normally serve. In the past, we have our Trinity family meal that we would take our Braille group over and do a dinner, and other groups would do something similar to that. Can we get this service throughout the congregation and school, working all together on all different aspects?
100%. I do want to do that. As I said, one of the markers of overflow is service. And yes, we want to make sure that we are giving people opportunities to serve. So Sunday night meal, which is one of the meals in Monroe that you can go to and get a free hot meal every day of the week. The one Sunday night is here. Are there other opportunities and places for us to be able to do that and have the school and the church and all sorts of folks be a part of that? Yes. Do I also want to Do I also want to make it to where it just becomes part of the fabric of what we do? Yes. The one thing I want to make sure not to do is, okay, 8th graders, set up the chairs for everything. That's not fair to them, and they're not Sherpas. My kids are Sherpas, the 8th graders aren't. Right? That's the deal. So we do have to be careful on the limits that we put on some of that, but could we do more? For sure. For sure. Okay, final place then that we want to go to if no one has anything more on extracurricular. Okay, then spiritual. We are a church that runs a school. And for most of this church's existence, if they're anything like any other church that has run a school, for the most part, it was a school for the kids of the families that went to church. And up until, I don't know how many years ago, that was still true here at Trinity. Lots and lots of schools are that way. I've been a part of Lutheran schools my entire life, served in 3 of them, been in churches that were connected to another 2. And so I kind of know the way in which this works. Demographic changes have happened in parochial schools and in Lutheran schools. Right now, 30% of the kids that go to Trinity also go to Trinity Church. 30% of the kids go to another church somewhere in the Monroe community, and 40% of the kids have no church home. That is drastically different than probably 25 years ago here. So we do have to take into account some of that demographic change, but is the mission still the same? I think it is. So we'll put up mine. I would love that every student here have faith in Christ and the ability to grow and mature in their walk with God and service to others. I think that is an important thing, that every kid have that. Now, is everybody that sends their kid here going to see that as the most important thing that we're trying to do? No, and that's fine. But as long as they realize we're going to try and do it and are okay with that, then we should be golden. Everything should be good. But in terms of families as well, I would love that families see Trinity Lutheran as a possible church home. But I would also love that even if you're not going to come here, we are a resource to you for your family, not just academically and extracurricular, but also spiritually. The pastors are available to you. The teachers are going to be Christ to you as much as they possibly can. The congregation will come alongside you if you need something. All of that is something that is important for us. I think that's a key component. The one thing I don't want to do in all of this, and I don't want anybody to leave going, the only reason we run a school is to try and get kids and families to become members of our church. That's not. I don't believe that is a good desired outcome, because I feel like that's a bait and switch. I feel like that's not appropriate. Can we come alongside people, help them with their children, with their family life, but also hopefully with their spiritual lives? Yes. But I don't want there to be any semblance of a bait and switch. Well, we'll help you, but you need to join the church. Now, that said, I'm Lutheran because my parents joined the church for the tuition discount. We don't have that, so we don't have to worry about it, but yeah. It halfway worked. There was a time. What's funny is my sister's Methodist, so I don't know if it worked or not. So for me, does every family and every student that goes here need to understand there's a spiritual side? One of our 5 core classes is theology. You're not going to get that at Monroe Middle School. Yeah. If everybody can be okay with that, then I think we are in a good spot to be able to come alongside and help people out in a number of ways. So, any thoughts on that one there? So pass the word. Pastor Grenz doesn't care if the school families join the church. I actually don't. That's not the goal. Would it be cool if they did? Sure. But am I also trying to reach out to more than just the school families and trying to bring people in? 100%.
I think one of our outcomes is that our students leave this school with the ability to defend their faith to outsiders when they leave this school and are in another place, be it St. Mary's, Monroe High, Jefferson, if they're confronted about their faith, that they can defend it well.
That's already in there. Pastor Doerr made sure it is. And I've taught that lesson, actually, apologetics. So, yeah, Mike.
This is like a nitpicking. This is kind of a nitpicking, but how important is it to the church to get the acolytes lit correctly?
Not very.
All right.
As long as the building doesn't burn down and pastor doesn't get lit on fire, we're good.
Okay.
I've run okay, I'm going to bring this to Trinity. I've got an acolyte class that I learned as a kid from a deacon in the church that I grew up in, and it was fantastic. It was 2 years, and we learned how to assist with worship, but we also learned why we do what we do in just about every aspect of worship. And I went to a very high church, like we had incense and stuff. It was weird. Smelled funny too. But when I became a pastor, I asked that deacon, because he was going to my parents' church, can I have your class? He gave me 6 weeks worth of stuff, and I asked him, how did you make this last 2 years? We practiced a lot, Grayson. Okay, yeah. Remembering, yeah, we did. I'd love to bring that here, at the very least get it out there so that the kids get an understanding of it. We do train all of our 7th and 8th graders how to do the tech, how to help with stuff for chapel and things like that. The most sought after part when the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders do service, they don't really sing anymore. They all want to help. Lighting the candles is like the number one thing they want to do. So I always joke with them, and I've always told my acolyte class, as long as you don't light pastor on fire, you've accomplished what you needed to do. And went from there. Only light the candles. And all the kids look at me like, oh, come on, pastor. Then they drop the candelabra and pick it up, and nothing's on fire, and they're like, oh, that's why he says it. So, yeah. Real quick, Deb, let Rich give you the mic.
I said the coolest thing that I've ever seen, and you talking about somebody being confident in their faith. My grandkids all live up in Rochester Hills area, up in there, and they have 3 rival schools up there. And it was a basketball game, and the team lost. Stony Creek lost to our team. They went, one boy, in the middle. Both teams were in the middle, praying in
That's
the
awesome.
middle. It was the coolest thing. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. It was the coolest thing to see. And there's kids are like, what's he doing? And they all followed, and they're all down, and all of them, both schools, even the people that lost, and were praying. It was amazing.
I think that's a really good thing. My wife was quick to show me the picture of the U.S. national men's soccer team doing the same thing after their match, which was kind of cool. So, it's a little cooler now to profess your faith in professional sports than it has been, which, gosh, that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So, all right, any final thoughts on the spiritual part? Are my desired outcomes decent? Okay. I do want to thank you for coming. Although we haven't had a ton of things to add, there have been a number of things that have been very, very helpful to me to be able to do some more desired outcomes. I've also got a couple things racing through my mind of things to add just from our discussion here, so thank you for that. I would encourage you, school parents, congregation members, everybody, encourage people to watch this and then give me feedback. My flip, go to the very end if you would. At the end of this is my email address or my phone number. I would love to get feedback from anybody on adding something to this or tweaking something, or hey, there's something that I thought of afterwards, whatever the case is. The more information I can get, the more data I can get, the better job we can do in putting this together. I also am not thinking, I'd love to do this and not have to do it again for quite a while, because I kind of think that the desired outcomes don't change all that much. The goals to get there can and should, but the desired outcome really kind of needs to be pretty consistent. And I think that spending the time to get as many people's outlook on this will be worth its weight in gold as we look at that. So if you think of something in the next week, please email me, call me, text me, whatever, and share that with me, and we'll get it down, and it'll get into the hopper to be used on all of this. So, but I also would encourage you, please, encourage other people, congregation members, tell somebody this weekend, watch the video, and then give pastor feedback. School families, please tell other parents, Pastor Grenz wants your input. Tell him, and go from there. So the more input I can get, the better. Yes?
What are the next steps?
Yes, let's go to that. Next steps. The way I am looking at this in terms of desired outcomes is the reason I asked you for your email address as you signed in tonight, hopefully I got a good portion of them, is I'm going to send you a kind of minutes of this, and then if there was anything I missed, hopefully somebody will tell me. I know Tracy was feverishly taking notes here, and we do have the recording, but I just want to double check what I have heard tonight with what you have heard tonight and make sure they're the same. And then these desired outcomes go into what we've been working on here at Trinity within the congregation for a while now on a ministry plan to guide the way in which and focus our efforts within the congregation, but also within the school. So these desired outcomes will then be the end. We're beginning with the end in mind so that we can then design what we want to do to try and make these desired outcomes happen. And that's what we're going to be working on. So one more back there. I'm going to send this out to you, but I'm also going to put together a couple more town halls in August after I've gotten more information and kind of bring it to a group and say, what do you think of this? And let everybody kind of give me some feedback. And then in September, it will come before the voters here at Trinity to be adopted for use. School families, sorry you don't get a vote, but I'm trying to give you as much input as you can before all of that. So we want all the stakeholders to be represented in what we're doing. I realize it's over the summer and your kids are probably driving you crazy already, right? I know August is a tough time for people with vacations and things, but I think this is important enough to spend a little time on it and kind of go from there. Which, that said, I don't want to spend too much more time on this tonight. If anybody's got a final thought or a final question or a final comment, again, if you think of something, talk with me. Some way, shape, or form, reach out. If you think of it but don't tell me, I can't do anything with it. So please do. All right? Any final thoughts, any final questions? I'm going to say hang around for a while. If you want to talk now, or you're thinking of something now, don't want to talk about it in front of everybody, that's fine. All right, well then will you pray with me to wrap up tonight? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, and I, Lord, thank you for the folks that are here tonight to talk about desired outcomes for Trinity Lutheran School. Just thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to get folks together and discuss what we want. Dream a little bit, but also prepare for the future of this place. We ask, Lord, that you would put your hand and your guidance and your spirit upon this entire process. Lead us where we need to go, and give us the courage and the willingness to follow you in doing it. Bless us as we have the summer off for the school, and help all the kids to have a wonderful summer. Make sure they read 6 books, Lord. That way they won't have a summer slide and can come back ready to go next year. Lord, bless us as we go home now. Get us all home safe. Bring us back together for a town hall in August to kind of finalize some of this. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all for coming.